Thank you. We want to bring in for more insight NewsNation political contributor Kurt Bardella and Elizabeth Pipko, Republican strategist and former spokesperson for the Republican National Committee. Welcome, both of you. Kurt, let's jump right in here. These protests in D.C., we see President Trump once again making this repeated claim. He posted on Truth Social on Friday, quote, "It's just been found that Democrats are buying protesters in order to fight my attack on crime." What do you make of this claim? Is there any evidence of these protesters being paid?
Well, to this point, it doesn't seem like there is. I mean, even that report we just heard said this group has raised only $50,000. That's not going to buy thousands of protesters, frankly. I mean, just the logistical reality behind something like that, that dollar figure doesn't add up to paying off a bunch of protesters to do what they're doing. I think we've seen throughout both sides in general, there's always political process in which people are supported by people that align with them ideologically, and that's not unusual. I think to casually just call this nothing because they're paid without any evidence to support that, I mean, again, the president's going to say that. It's not lost on me that any time that there is some sort of protest, it's always paid by the Democrats, paid by the left wing, paid by progressives. That's Antifa. I mean, there was that claim that January 6th was really a side op by Antifa at one point. So I kind of throw all of that into one ball of nonsense, and there's just no evidence to say that that's the case. And until I see that information that says money was exchanged, this amount, this person, I just call it rhetoric.
Elizabeth, what are your thoughts on this? Is it a ball of nonsense?
Well, look, I don't think it's a ball of nonsense, that's for sure. I've certainly over the years seen my fair share of these protests, my fair share of advertisements looking for paid protesters. I know some people who don't speak to me anymore because of Donald Trump, obviously the man that I've worked for nearly 8 years, but I know for a fact that they were actually paid to protest over the years as well. I haven't looked too deeply into it. I've been personally impacted by these protests. I've been spit on by these protesters. I think most of America has been rattled by these protests, which have been ongoing since 2015 now, as we just saw, and really just seem like they're the bottle of nonsense because all they want to do is waste time, disrupt the American people in their everyday lives, and get really nowhere because Donald Trump obviously continues to win regardless of what they chant outside his window.
So, Kurt, let's talk about what's going on in D.C. right now. We see troops patrolling major landmarks, these very busy areas around D.C. How does this shape the narrative around Trump's crime crackdown? Could there soon be a perception problem for the GOP?
Well, I mean, again, I think that it's not an accident that these are deployments in very visible, like you said, highly trafficked landmarks. So it's going to be noticed. That's kind of the point, I think. Ultimately, I think more people in this country care more about how prices are going up for vegetables and fruits at the grocery store than they do about what's going on in Washington, D.C. Republicans oftentimes like to say, only the media and DC political elites are obsessed with what happens in Washington. The rest of America, I'll tell you what they're doing this week, frankly. They're getting their kids back to school. They're shopping right now at Target and Walmart, getting school supplies, getting ready to pack school lunches. That's certainly what we're doing in this house, as tomorrow is the first full week of school for our kids. And what sideshow is going on in Washington, D.C. in general, I just don't think resonates as much as people in D.C. think it does.
Okay, I do want to switch gears. We are seeing a new post from Trump on Truth Social right now about this big meeting coming up tomorrow with Zelensky. He says President Zelensky of Ukraine can end the war with Russia almost immediately if he wants to, or he can continue to fight. And it goes from there. Elizabeth, what are you watching for tomorrow? Obviously, that last meeting went completely off the rails. What needs to happen?
Yeah, look, it needs to be a continuation of what happened Friday. We obviously don't have all the details, but it seems as though some kind of progress was made. I'm going to assume the White House is not revealing all the details for a specific reason, right? They don't need to do that. The only people who need to know those details are Zelensky and the other European leaders who are going to be in the room tomorrow. I don't know what concessions were made, if any. I don't know what concessions will need to be made tomorrow, but I'm hoping that President Trump is signaling the fact that Putin is close to making the concessions needed, that Zelensky could make the concessions needed on their side tomorrow, and that we actually could get some kind of update on a major peace deal within 24 hours.
Kurt, I want to bring this language in again because it's interesting. On the one hand, he says, big day at the White House tomorrow. Never had so many European leaders at one time. My great honor to host them. That's how he ends the tweet. But his message for Zelensky, not one of welcome. He says President Zelensky of Ukraine can end the war with Russia almost immediately if he wants to, or he can continue to fight. What tone is this setting ahead of this meeting?
I mean, again, it's setting up Zelensky to be the reason why a peace deal doesn't happen, because clearly they're going to put something in front of him that he's already said he's not going to accept. I'd like to make the point that the same sentence could be said about Vladimir Putin. He could end this war right now. He could withdraw his forces from territory that doesn't belong to Russia, and he could end this war just as he was the one who started. I mean, I think we have to remember Ukraine's is the victim here. Russia is the aggressor. Ukraine did nothing wrong, did nothing to provoke this. Russia and Putin decided to do this. And the idea that, well, the only way this can end is if Zelensky just accepts defeat, which is basically what Trump is kind of telegraphing. Like, Zelensky needs to surrender. He needs to just accept that this land has been taken by Russia forcefully, which is an illegal act for the record, and just be okay with that. And somehow this will all end. Historically speaking, rewarding that kind of behavior doesn't usually end well in the long run.
Kurt Bardella, Elizabeth Pipko, appreciate you both. Thank you.
Have a good
Thank you.
weekend.
Still to come.